Hey, yeah, I wanna shoot, baby. Guess what, guys? Back here on the Stuff of Legend, I come to talk to you guys about Deadpool and the X-Men. This is very unique. So, we're going to be talking about the Disney CEO, Bob Iger, today. He just came out and made an official statement about Fox and the Disney Fox acquisition. Now, there's tons of legality and like legal stuff to sift through to make sure that Disney doesn't become a total monopoly on the industry. And so, with that being said, there's still plenty of time. There's about a year, maybe a year and a half, before the deal is done. I think it's about a year out from now, or maybe a little bit. Actually, you know what? I think it's a little bit less because it's next summer. I think is when it's supposed to be done. However, at that time, then they can officially start to plan how to incorporate X-Men into the MCU. So you guys know Disney owns Marvel. Disney now owns Fox, but there's some legal stuff to sift through: what TV properties they can have, what movie properties they can have, and everything that comes with Fox. They have to be able to sift through. So that being said, Bob Iger says this. So this comes from an article, comicbook.com. And I'm going to put the link to that in the description below so you guys can read that and see that. But the headline reads, Disney CEO confirms Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige is taking over the X-Men franchise, written by Matthew Mueller on September 20th, which was today. And so this being said, it says here, with the Disney and 21st Century Fox deal on its way to becoming reality, Disney CEO Bob Iger cleared up a thing or two about the plan moving forward. And it definitely features Kevin Feige in a leadership position, which is awesome. Iger spoke to THR about a variety of topics related to Disney. And that includes the plan going forward for the 20th Century Fox Marvel properties. Those properties include X-Men, Fantastic Four, and at one point, Iger was asked if Marvel would absorb the X-Men franchise and if Feige would be overseeing it. This is what he has to say. He says, I think it only makes sense, Iger said. I want to be careful here because of what's been communicated to the Fox folks, but I think they know. It only makes sense for Marvel to be supervised by one entity. There should not be two Marvels. And that was followed up with a proposition of a question that says, so Deadpool could become an Avenger? And Bob Iger's answer was, Kevin's got a lot of ideas, referring to Kevin Feige of the MCU. Iger said, I'm not suggesting that's one of them, but who knows? And then, so that's really interesting. I'm going to stop right here before I continue on. But what is happening here is he's confirming that the plan, the general plan moving forward, without giving away too many details, is that yes, there's only really one figurehead overseeing Marvel right now. It's Kevin Feige. He's got that overseer role. He's the one that's orchestrating everything, pulling all the strings, putting it together. He's the head honcho there. Disney has Bob Iger, and then there's another guy, I'm forgetting his name. He's underneath that, overseeing branches beneath that. And then there's Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is the next in the line there for movies. And then there's also Jeff Loeb for TV. But what that means is that Marvel, he wants all the Marvel properties to be in the same universe. He doesn't want, kind of like how DC's doing, where they're having these individual movies. There's the Sonyverse, and technically we have the Fox movies, but those were Fox prior to Disney's direct influence. Now, they had to work together to get those done. I understand that. However, that was not really Disney's call. They were going to make these movies and they could make a profit. So it was like, okay, yeah, we'll play ball with you, but let's make sure everyone knows they're not in the same universe and they're rated R, so you got Logan and you got, Deadpool. Those are the more recent ones, Deadpool 2. And so very exciting news that the X-Men are coming to the MCU. Kevin Feige is a nerd of all nerds. He knows these properties. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was a consultant on the Bryan Singer X-Men. Let me see, which was basically all of them. Let me see. So Kevin Feige, Bryan Singer. see if I can pull this up. X-Men producers decided to work with Kevin Feige. Yep. Yeah. So he was there. So he was working with um on basically everything actually. So so X-Men franchise producer Lauren Schuler Donner expresses excitement to work alongside Kevin Feige once again by bringing the mutant superhero team into the MCU. So this one's coming from Screen Rant when I googled this. It says she and her husband and Superman the movie director Richard Donner both own the Donner Company, under which she has developed and produced every installment of the 21st Century's Fox franchise, including the TV shows Legion and The Gifted, since Bryan Singer's 2000 X-Men film. And now she'll be bringing. So basically, it's saying that this particular article is pointing mostly to Lauren Schuler Donner, but it's also saying that Kevin Feige was a huge part of this. And that was essentially my point, was that Kevin Feige's been involved with many, if not all of the Marvel properties on some level. Maybe not directly having authority in the creative department, but usually as some sort of a consultant, a producer, in some way, shape, or form. He's always had a hand in a lot of the Marvel film industry, and including some of the TV. And so it's really cool. I know that if he's going to make X-Men movies, like let's say for a second that they're not just going to get drafted, and I imagine they're not going to get drafted because the timeline sucks, and they're going to try to just do away with that. Let's have our own X-Men. We're going to reboot. We're going to recast. It's going to be a clean slate. And some people are very upset about that, but they already killed off Wolverine. Are you really so tied to the other characters? I mean, I love the other characters. I've loved all the X-Men movies up till now, including The Last Stand, even with all of its problems. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, even with all of its problems, I can still have fun. I can still enjoy the characters. I can still enjoy the stories, even though there are issues and inconsistencies and stuff. I'm a special bird. My wife always makes fun of me for these kinds of things because I can put those things behind me and just enjoy the ride. And I do notice these things. I'm not like oblivious to them. I can just say, okay, you know what? That sucked, but let me just enjoy this, or let me just appreciate how awesome Beast is in this movie, or let me just appreciate what they're doing over here with Iceman, or let me appreciate what's over. Like I have a kind of a spirit of gratefulness because I love the books, I love the comics, and when you get to take part in these movies, it's like it's fun. It's just, let's see how someone else can appreciate these things. Speaking of the directors and the writers, how they're bringing these things to life with their own spin. I understand it's their own spin, which is why the costumes kind of sucked in the Bryan Singer edition, but I believe that if Kevin Feige has his way, he's going to go like all out. He doesn't give a rip if it's like a little bit like cheesy, if it's bright colors. Look what they're doing with Captain Marvel. Look what they're doing with say like Spider-Man, or like what they've done with like Iron Man. They brought Iron Man to life, a character who is not really like he wasn't really a well-known character. He's one of the most well-known in the world right now, but it's because they took that risk and did the movie. And then they made him super comic book accurate. Like they went all out. This is Iron Man. We're not playing games here. And Thor, they didn't hold anything back. He wasn't just another dude on Earth. They actually made him the Asgardian god of thunder. And so like there's lots of they don't give a rip. They're going to make comics the way that it's supposed to be, and they're going to make these movies based on the comics. They're going to take their own creative liberties, but they're going to hold true to who the characters are, and that's the core of Kevin Feige's work, is staying true to those characters. And so, for the most part, you could say that about most of the characters in the MCU. And I believe that he's going to do justice by the X-Men. It's one of the biggest properties Marvel's ever created for comics and for movies. It put comic book movies on the map. There was stuff like Blade, and I think they had done the Punisher around that time, but still, it was the 2000 X-Men that made it like, okay, guys, we can actually do this. Comic book movies can be a real thing. We can market to a broad category of people, not just comic book fans, and we can make money doing these movies. They don't all have to be flops. And that was when it started to turn the tides. And then you started to get the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. You started to get all kinds of great movies that were coming after this point. Even the Batman films, beloved as they were not box office successes, like not very much so. And so they're great. Like everyone has a copy in their home. On DVD it did pretty good, but like in the box office, it's really hard to draw a giant crowd. It basically became like a family tradition to watch these things. It gets passed down from generation to generation. So it's very exciting to me that Bob Iger is confirming to us now that that Kevin Feige is getting the reins of this. I think that they're going to do something sassy. Boss Logic did an awesome art piece of Magneto's helmet, and then he was saying he hopes that they do Avengers versus the X-Men, which is one of my favorite comics of all time. I love the Avengers versus the X-Men. It takes all of your favorite. It's kind of like the Civil War. It's like it's one of those comics, except for it's a different type of like fandom animosity, like where you're like, but I love this character. Oh my gosh, but I love this guy. And then it's like these guys are right in their own right. These guys are right in their own right. And it's like, I mean, Cyclops kind of goes off the deep end, but it's, it is what it is. And it's a great story. I love Namor. Any chance I can get to get Namor in the picture, I love Namor. And I hope that they go all out if they choose to do this. There's no confirmation as what they're going to do. And they probably won't make any announcements about that until the legal stuff is done, which will probably be sometime next summer. So summer 2019. And, but still, then at that point, we can start to hear word and rumors and plans and stuff like that. And the Comic-Con 2019, they're most surely going to make some sort of announcement for a slate of films they have intended. Or if they don't intend to make a hard splash with the X-Men with their own films, we're going to probably start to hear word and talk in other like end credit scenes of all kinds of like X-Men. We'd probably see Storm and or Namor in Black Panther 2 or 3. We're probably going to get to see or even if they do a fourth Cap movie, which I don't think they will because I think the contract is over after Avengers 4. But if they do another Cap film, they might include Namor and do some flashback sequence to like introduce him because they fought together a long time ago. Wolverine was one of those characters as well. So you could do Wolverine, you could do Namor and Captain America in one of those franchises. There's a lot of different things you could do. You could even do like some fun, like if you're going to do Avengers versus X-Men, to see Storm go at it with Thor would be insane. That would be absolute insanity. That'd be so much fun. Wolverine versus the Hulk. That's a fight everybody wants to see. That would be amazing. And so there's so much that I would love to get out of this, but this was just some news. I think there's a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. I got along a big tangent of excitement and wonder and fantasy. So let me just keep going with Bob Iger's quotes. So it says Iger also addressed how they plan to integrate all the new talent coming over from 20th Century Fox. So like the actors and creators and writers and all the teams that are employed at Fox, not just the acting. But it says, very good question. We're going to take the best people from both companies, and that's who's basically going to be playing on the playing field for us, meaning talent will prevail. Fox Searchlight is a great example. You look at FX, Nat Geo, yeah, you're buying libraries and brands, but you're also buying the people. I'm not going to talk about specific people right now, except to say that I've met with virtually the entire senior management team at Fox. And I'm not only fully engaged with them on what the possibilities for them might be, but I'm excited about the prospects. This is also important. So what he's basically assuring everybody is that not only are we looking at possibly getting like a almost it is a merger of sorts. They're being acquired. So Disney's buying Fox, but then among that, there's tons of employees that work for Fox. So a lot of them are probably worried for their jobs and stuff. But he's saying, hey, Disney is a meritocracy, which means if you're good at your job, if you can get stuff done, then we absolutely want you in the company. We're trying to make successful work. We're trying to do good work. We're trying to make the best possible product that anybody could ever offer. Disney doesn't play games. They do good work, whether it be with their stuffed animals, their bedding, the backpacks, the toys, the t-shirts, everything that they do very, very well. And that goes for movies, that goes for video games, that goes for everything that they put their hand to. They're trying to make the best possible product ever. And so if there's excellent talent at Fox, and we know there is because they've made great movies, then they are going to bring over anybody and everybody who they believe can benefit their company. And so that's a good thing because there's tons of great talent at Fox. So that's awesome. And then, yes, let's see. And we can expect the X-Men are not going to be a part of Avengers 4. Captain Marvel's already, like, they're still working on it, of course, but they're coming to a close as far as the working of that film. I think by probably like January, February, they'll probably be getting totally done with like shooting and all that. They've got enough footage to make a teaser, like some sort of a trailer, So that was good. I actually loved the trailer. It wasn't like blow your socks off, but it was very impressive. The CGI was wonderful. I love the use of color. I love how it has that James Gunn. Whatever you think of James Gunn, it doesn't matter. He made a Guardians of the Galaxy was revolutionary. Thor Ragnarok followed in its footsteps and was a massive success. Captain Marvel, it looks like as far as at least the imagery of it, it has a lot of that feel, especially in space. It feels vibrant and alive. And that's one thing that's really setting the Marvel universe apart from anything else, including like Star Wars, Star Trek. It's vibrant, it's alive. And that's one of the cool things I really enjoyed about the trailer was that the CG was great. I love the punching the grandma scene because that we already know that the Skrulls are in the movie. That makes us think that it's more of a Skrull invasion type story, which we had already heard before. But it's just cool to see that in play because the way that they're playing that out is she's like punching the Skrull while it still looks like a grandma, so it's super deceitful. I know there was a couple people online that were freaking out about that. Did she just punch a grandma? That's insane. It's like, yeah, that's a Skrull. It's totally a Skrull. Or at least what would be interesting is if it's not a Skrull, but she thinks it's a Skrull. How trippy would that be? Then she like darn near kills this grandma. Dude, that'd be a lot to deal with. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? That's insane. But it's totally a Skrull. So don't worry about that. Anyway, yeah, and so I'm stoked. I'm so excited for the X-Men. The proposition that Deadpool could potentially also enter into and get drafted into this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bob Iger did not confirm that part, but what he was saying was that it's possible and that, yes, that's a Fox property that is going to be under management by Kevin Feige, which is good news as well because he has a heart to keep stuff the way that it deserves to be. Obviously, they know that that's how Deadpool is going to make the most money, but they might allow Deadpool to be in stuff like a Spider-Man or like maybe they might allow him to join the Netflixers and bug Daredevil. That would be really cool. Allow him to be the first film to TV crossover to kind of start to bridge that gap. So, because the Netflix stuff is not for kids. That's already adult content. So you could have him easily join up with Daredevil and be the nuisance, the thorn in his side, but for whatever reason, he won't leave him alone. He has to stick next to him and they do some missions together or whatever. That would be really funny. You would have to you'd have to censor a little bit, not censor, but you'd have to just write the script in a way that it's not so over the top for Deadpool. I mean, you can get away with a lot on Netflix, but at the same time, the Netflix series aren't known for being extremely crass and vulgar. They're usually more along the lines of violent with like, depending on which season you're watching or like what series you're watching, there's probably like a sex scene or something like that. There might be, like that's there are places for that, but it's nothing like Deadpool. It's close in the range of like violence, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much because it's super violent. But yeah, so you get the idea. They may or may not include Deadpool. That's very unlikely, but they've already told us that their plan is to incorporate the X-Men into the MCU, and it does not mean that they're going to keep the cast of X-Men. I think they're going to do a full-fledged X-Men reboot, recast everyone, make it appropriate, like age-wise, flesh it out, probably a much like an older Professor X, a more established, I would imagine they're going to do a more established like Cyclops, Storm, Beast, have some members that are kind of in the age range of, say, like, I would imagine like Hawkeye or, so Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark. They might have like adult characters as well as a plenty of younger characters to like balance out that young, old group. So you got not just Tom Holland and uh, what's her name? I just blanked on Shuri. You get Shuri, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and then Shuri in the X-Men, depending on how they want to make that. I actually would prefer that they go a little bit older, not super old, probably like college age. College age would be just right. And yeah, that's my take there. So anyway, I think I've basically said everything I'm going to say on this live. You guys let me know down in the comments how you feel about this. Are you guys excited? Do you guys feel like you know bummed out? Were you hoping for more in the X-Men standalone universe? Or were you hoping, are you hoping for this? Is this good news to you? How do you feel about Deadpool potentially, quote unquote, becoming an Avenger? That's not confirmed, but how do you feel about that? I want to know. I want to have these discussions with you guys. Also, hit me up on the Stuff of Legend show on Instagram, and I'm always on there just talking with you guys about that kind of thing. I do a lot more lives here actually than I do on Instagram, but I'm always in the comments. If you guys want to talk with me in the chat or whatever in the comment sections here, you're more than welcome to. Please leave a like, share this video with friends you know are going to be stoked about this news. And then also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That helps me out. It's a big encouragement to me. And then I would love to communicate with you guys. Please send any questions, comments, or video suggestions to the Stuff of Legend show at gmail.com. And then put the word topic in the subject line. And then also make sure to make sure to refrain from adding any pictures or video files. I will not open anything with pictures or videos, but you feel free to leave links if you would like. I'm open to that, and I will make sure to get back to you guys immediately. I'm usually pretty frequent about checking my emails every 15 minutes. So thanks, guys, so much. You guys have a great rest of your night, and I will see you next time right here on The Stuff of Legend. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 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 Da-da-da-da-run.